Was 2020 a good year for the Toddcast? How many best of episodes have there been so far? And who was the best guest in 2020? Well, I talk about all that and more on this episode of the Toddcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toddcast. As always, I'm your host, Todd McManus. And, of course, you probably heard in the intro that this is, of course, a best of episode featuring more guests in the year 2020 that I got to interview last year. Of course, the year 2021 is already quickly coming to a close, with it being already, we're over halfway through October already. I mean, we really only have 2 full months left of this year, and then we're in 2022, which is wild. So, this is, of course, the part 3 of the best of series that I've been doing so far. Of course, there are 2 other best of episodes featuring best of 2020 guests, and there's also a best of episode dedicated only to Jaron episodes from the past, from every episode he's been on so far. You can go check those out. Of course, all of those and every other episode still available on the podcast providers, and some of them from this past year are available on YouTube as well. And with all of that being said, we can just go ahead and dive into this episode and go ahead and take a look back at some of the many guests that I've already had in 2020. Like I said, there are 2 other parts that have already been out for some time now of featuring guests from the year 2020, and this is going to be the last best of 2020 guests that will be here. And then, of course, in the future, in 2022, there will most likely be a best of for 2021 guests, which, of course, that won't be happening until probably middle of the year, probably like May or June, around that area is when it might start happening. Just, give it some time, of course. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive into this best of episode. First up, we're going all the way back to episode 18 from May 9th, 2020. And this is featuring frequent guest John Wright. That's right. John is, of course, on this episode. And, of course, we talked about one of our favorite subjects, food. But, of course, mainly talking about Sonic Drive-In. Wow, what a shocker, We talked about the limited menu item, the queso burger, and what we think about it. I go to Sonic a lot. You know this. A lot of people know this. About me, anyway. Mm-hmm. There was this new limited time edition sandwich or burger at Sonic called the queso burger. Do you know what the queso burger is?
I've seen it on the screens several times, and then I've just thought, that'd probably give me diarrhea.
Well,
and then I didn't get it.
Newsflash, it does. The queso burger is just like a bun patty, and it's got mayonnaise on it, which is...
Sounds disgusting.
Like, in the beginning, for those of you that believe in Christianity and all that, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and the devil created mayonnaise.
Yep.
That's how I believe it.
Not only that, but who's mixing mayonnaise and queso? That just doesn't sound good.
Let me read the ingredients. Burger patty and a bun, of course. Shredded cheddar cheese, grilled onions, Hatch green chilies, zesty cheese sauce, and mayonnaise. Okay. Now, I use the Sonic app, which means you can customize everything, which I love. I use Sonic app, that way I don't talk to them. The only conversation I have is whenever they bring me the food, say, this is your order, thank you, goodbye. And that's it. Have a supersonic day.
Yeah.
So, I tried it. Now, when they say grilled onions, they should have just said grilled onion, because they put the whole onion on the burger, which I like onions, but it's diced grilled onions, but it's literally, I'm pretty sure all the onions were thicker than the meat on the burger. And then there was these Hatch green chilies, which are supposed to be hot, I guess. Well, I don't like jalapenos. I don't like the flavor. Like, I don't like hot stuff like that anyway. But the flavor of jalapenos, to me, just isn't that good. I know, like, you like jalapenos.
Are you talking, like, the pickled, like, in vinegar jalapenos, or are you talking, like, fresh that you don't like? Because it's a completely different
I don't even know if I've had pickled, to be honest. I've had fresh. Like, the actual flavor to me, I'm like, I just don't.
The pickled ones is what you're going to get if you go to...
different fast food.
You go to fast food restaurants. Like Subway, they have the pickled ones.
To make them last longer?
Probably.
Yeah.
But
well, these were diced.
The fresh ones are absolutely, like, a totally different experience. Hurts a lot more coming out.
All I know is that these were green and they were diced. Mixed in with the onions.
Yeah.
And the shredded cheddar cheese is okay. Mm-hmm. Like, to be honest, I've never really thought of that, about putting shredded cheese on a hamburger before, you know? And then there's this zesty cheese sauce that's... I opened the wrapper, and I saw the burger, and I was like, I want to just see what's under the hood. So I took the top bun off. The cheese sauce had done solidified so hard around the patty.
It's kind of scary.
And it's kind of going over the bottom bun. And it was almost like the cheese sauce had done turned back into a slice of cheese. It did not taste that good. Like, I literally was trying to eat the burger around the cheese sauce. Like, some people probably like it just because cheese is cheese, you know. But
I do like a good cheese.
Like,
I don't know if I like my queso. You know,
and I did
hard.
and I did customize it with no mayonnaise, of course, because I'm not a fiend.
Yeah.
And so I got it with no mayonnaise. I tried it. I ate about half of it. Did not like it. I would try it again, but I want the cheese. When I think of a queso burger, I think of the queso burger from Chili's.
Mm-hmm.
That's got white queso dripping off of it. It's got pico on there, but sometimes I don't get that on there. And it's got those, like, Frito tortilla chips that just have, like, they're not Fritos at all, but they're just tortilla chips, and those are really good. That's what I think of a queso burger. But this is a fast food queso burger, which is not that good.
Yeah.
I'd give it a solid 4 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of low, so.
So when you say this is zesty queso, what was it like, you know, they just took some, like, a week-old San Miguel queso and just put some Tonys in it? Is it like...
I was about to say, it looks like they just melted slices of Kraft cheese somehow.
Okay.
Put it in a bowl and then, like, sprinkled some salt on it.
You think it's like some Kraft pepper jack that they melted? And it's not even like...
I'm not even sure. Like, it's... I'm pretty sure that they're like, oh, we're out of zesty cheese sauce. Let's just put a slice on there and melt it a little bit.
They were out of tater tots today. They had a little sign on there.
They were out of tots?
Yeah, they had a sign on the little button that said, due to warehouse shortages, we are out of tater tots. And I was like, well, what's the point of it being alive? Because, you know, tater tots is all that keeps me going.
Tater tots and then Sonic's mozzarella sticks as well.
Yeah.
But always a good time whenever John is on. Of course, if you didn't know, me and John actually graduated high school together. So we've known each other for many years. Of course, that was 3.5 years ago already, which is a bummer when you think about it. And he, of course, has been on the Toddcast 5 times so far, and 2 of those times have been just this year. Go check out those episodes. Some of them are kind of long. Well, I think 3 of them are like 2 hours long. But it's always a good time to hang out and talk with John. And like I said, he's only been on 2 times so far this year in 2021, and I can't wait to have him on again in the future. Next up is from episode 34, jumping up a little bit, with 3-time guest, the director of ULM's Chi Alpha organization, Tyler Gerfers. And we talked about how the COVID pandemic affected student organizations in our college. I'll go over a broad statement and say this question is, how do you think all of these student organizations like Chi Alpha and everything, how have all these organizations been affected by COVID?
Yeah, no, and that's a very good question because, every organization has a different MO, so, it just depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but I know, for example, in our field, being one of the Christian organizations, we've always used our had our large group gathering in the student center.
Yeah.
But because of the restrictions and the occupancy and all those kind of things, we're just not able to meet there. And so we've had to come up with a different game plan for that of how to stay connected. And we've always had our small group meetings called life groups, where people come together. And so we've really had to lean on that, wholeheartedly. Whereas other people, organizations, whether it's in Greek life or other ministries or whoever it may be, they may have a facility, but even then, they still have to be mindful of what the restrictions are within the university as they're being represented as an organization. Yeah. And so it's honoring the system and the guidelines and trying to be a team player and part of the solution and not the problem. And so we've seen a lot of organizations try to make the most of it. Obviously there's a virtual component that's always out there. People want to use that. Even if people want to, I haven't seen a whole lot of this, but technically people could meet outside, and give each other the space they need if they really wanted to have, if they had to have some kind of meeting, but, I would say a lot of organizations have been affected, but again, it just depends on what your goal is, and if you're trying to, gather people or if you're trying to, go somewhere, all those kind of things, are being affected.
And I had this idea, is that the only way you could really do 6 feet apart for a big gathering of people, especially for Chi Alpha, you should just go in the arena.
Oh, exactly. For real. It's because for us, if we had our say our big meeting, say we had 50 people there, well, that means we got to have 300 feet of just empty space.
Of total.
Yeah, of just empty space between people, And so we've got to have enough room for that and the actual people. And it's where are you going to go?
The only big thing we got is the football stadium and then the big arena. That's all we got.
It's a lot of people. You could go outside maybe, but that's hard to, so
you take up a whole parking lot almost, basically.
Yeah, so it definitely limits. So you got to get creative. You got to figure out different ways of doing things, and so we're trying to figure all that out right now.
Because this past conversation you just heard of with me and Tyler was actually his second time being a guest on the Toddcast. His third time was actually one time this year. I think it was back in April or May or so, something around in that area of this past year. I can't really remember it all. Blurs together with how fast this year has gone. And, he's a former 3-time guest. You should go listen to that episode and the other 2 as well. Always great to talk with Tyler. And hopefully he'll be on in the future as well. Next up, we're jumping up a few weeks to episode 38, when I talked with the newly elected president of ULM, Dr. Ron Berry. And we talked about the Bridging the Bayou agreement between Louisiana Delta Community College and ULM and how that will benefit students in the future. About the agreement of bringing the Bayou program between ULM and LA Delta. How do you, just overall, how do you feel about that? Could you explain a little bit about it, just overall thoughts of that type of program?
Sure, absolutely. That program is called Bridging the Bayou. And for a long time, ULM and Delta have been partners, great partners. We have 2+2 agreements where students can take their first 2 years at Delta and then transfer to ULM seamlessly. So we'll take their 60 hours there and plug it into a 4-year degree here. But this program just adds another layer of comfort for the students onto that existing agreement. So students can actually take classes on ULM's campus. They can participate in ULM activities, use ULM's resources. We actually have a Delta room, a Louisiana Delta room over in Sandal Hall and their faculty will be on our campus teaching students. And so the idea was, okay, let's expand our existing partnership so that it'll make it easier for the students to transition. For those who want to, not all students want a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
And they can do extremely well with a 2-year degree from Delta. So the idea is really just to provide a bridge so that transition is much easier.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting. We look forward to making it easier for students to come to ULM and be successful.
Just literally bridging the bayou.
Exactly
right. There.
Right.
Helping them get over here if they want to, of course. So.
Exactly right.
One of the conversations you just heard was the first time, to let y'all know, that was the first time Dr. Berry was a guest on, and that was last year, of course, towards the end of last year, whenever it was first announced that he would be the new president of ULM, and he was on for a second time back in May at the end of that 2020 and 2021 college year. And he'll definitely have to be on in the future as well. And go ahead and check those episodes out. You really learn a lot from listening to the college president about the school and all that and his experiences as well. Next up, we're jumping up to episode 50 with the now former National American Miss Louisiana, Madeline Gilmore. And we talked about what it feels like after you win or lose a pageant. And once you're done, like once they say you won, or first, second, third place, or participation award, whatever they do, and there's like, all right, see you everybody, and then it's all done. How good does it feel, or if it does feel good after? Like, does it feel good? Be like, oh, thank God, I ain't got to do like a hardcore diet or whatever. Or it's like, I may still want to stay somewhat active, maybe, or just take it down a little bit. I can actually relax a little bit, do what I want, but still eat somewhat healthy. It's like, how does it feel to actually be done with the pageant, after you've, however long, like the few months it takes to prepare for that kind of thing, like how good does it feel after?
So I have had the perspective of winning and of not winning. Mm-hmm. So I would say from the side of not winning, there are mixed emotions. It feels good to know that all of your hard work has paid off, in the sense of even if you didn't leave with the crown, you have presented yourself in everything that you've worked for. And, a different set of judges on a different day might have announced you the winner. So it's important to be proud of what you've done and how far you've come. So at the end of the day, walking home without a crown, or even sometimes without a trophy, it is emotional because you did put in a lot of work and you want to go home a winner. But it's also important to note that you're still a winner. And I know that sounds cheesy, and like everyone says that, especially, at a young age, you're always a winner. But you really are. You put in so much work, and I know that throughout this year alone as Miss Louisiana, I have grown so much, especially mentally throughout this year. So walking away without a crown, it's very sad, and it can be emotional, and a lot of times I've shed quite a few tears. However, I've always left National American Miss without a crown, excited for the next year and to try again, and feeling like a more mature version of myself. But leaving with the crown is obviously super exciting. You do put in a lot of work. A lot of times girls will prepare for a year for a national title or a state title, sometimes even longer. And it's very rewarding when you walk away with your goal. You have it literally in your hands. So obviously that's very exciting, and yes, it is emotional. But when you leave a crown, when you leave with a crown, that usually means that you have another year of hard work ahead of you, and appearances to be made, people to talk to, and a full year of excitement. So there are different perspectives when leaving a pageant. I can say this year, leaving as Miss Louisiana, it was very exciting. I cried tears of joy so many times. I remember jumping up and down in the kitchen with my mom at like 11 o'clock at night because we were so excited. But leaving the national pageant, so for those of you who don't know, I just competed in Orlando for the national title. I did not come home with the national title, and that's okay. congrats to Katie Ruth, the winner. If she ever listens to this, she's amazing. Miss New
she
York.
does.
Miss New York.
She does.
But I feel like coming home from nationals, I am the most, job ready one day. I feel like I can interview very well for something one day. Who knows what that'll be? Hopefully law school, fingers crossed. I feel like I can approach any situation publicly and be able to handle the situation. So I firmly believe that both sides of the spectrum, no matter if you leave winner or without a crown in your hand, it's rewarding in some aspect.
Great chat with Madeline Gilmore, of course. If none of you knew as well, her and I actually graduated high school together as well. Just me, her, and John, just living it up, and around... it wasn't this time. It was around like mid 2020 whenever she was announced the National American Miss Louisiana. And of course now, present time, the time we are in now, she is of course the former, because it only lasts a year, of course. And another young woman is now in her place as the National American Miss Louisiana. And if you ever want to if you're a woman out there or a girl, or you want to get into pageantry stuff, or you want to become like Miss Louisiana or Miss of whatever state or country you're in, you can contact Madeline Gilmore, and she will be more than happy to help you achieve that goal of yours. So next up, to round out this episode of this Best of 2020 guest, we're going back to episode 48 with Mayor Friday Ellis of Monroe City in Louisiana. And we talked about what it was like becoming mayor in a pandemic, and along with talking about what it was like having to hire a new team to help him along with being the mayor of Monroe, Louisiana. And so you would probably say that moment right there where you saw City Hall, because I usually ask this question to a lot of people who are elected officials or something, like that was your oh wow moment.
Yeah.
Like that's the first moment, because some people don't have it when they're like, you're now the mayor, and they're like, okay, let's do this, and then it takes a little while for people to be like, this is my job now. So it's like, I am, like, whenever something happens in Monroe, I'm the person they're going to go to and be like, Mayor, we got to do something about this. Like, you're the one, you know.
I had a phone call with one of the governor's staff members yesterday. And I talked to him, and he said, Mayor, he said, let me tell you something. Outside of the mayor, the governor, and the president, you all are executives. You can make things happen. He says, any other elected position can put together plans and hope they can happen.
Yeah.
But you can pick up a phone call and make it happen. He said, this person over here can't fill a pothole, but you can. This person over here can't install a culvert, but you can. But yeah, when I mentioned earlier, I didn't get that transition period to where I can reflect on what just happened, because I'm going to tell you, day one, we were faced with one of the largest and most public police brutality cases ever in the city of Monroe, publicly. That was, we live in an age of technology now where everybody has information at their fingertips.
Everybody knows that something's happening.
That's right. Day one, we picked up the phone and had to call the DOJ and the FBI, right? That was a moment right there that we didn't, you know what I'm saying? There was no transition. It was straight to work.
You knew, like, this is serious.
That's right. And still going under COVID precautions.
Yeah.
2 hurricanes to blow through in 1 year.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never thought I would have seen a hurricane in Monroe.
Yeah.
But then again, I never thought that I would see back-to-back tornadoes, one in Ruston 1 year and then one in Monroe the following year in that short amount of time. So, man, just the body of work and the things that have happened while still running the day-to-day with the city and working with our department heads to run the city for day-to-day. It was a cold water bath, kind of drinking water through a fire hose.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did have came to appreciate from all of this was the fact that we've got good employees, right? They have built a hedge of protection around me to help me succeed, because they understand when I'm successful, the city's successful. And so it's been good. I walked into an empty second floor. Prior walkouts from the previous administration, we were left with legal on the second floor, and to build our team, right? That transition period is for you to build your team.
Yeah.
And to bring people to the table. We didn't get that, so we literally have been hiring. We've a couple people that we've had to hire, and more hires that have to happen.
And 10 days ain't a long enough time for all that kind of stuff.
But one thing I would not allow myself to do was be reactionary with hires.
Yeah.
I believe that we should find talent, not only talent, but talent that fits with our vision and our dynamic here. Because if you make a conscious decision about who you're going to hire, it really makes your life easier. I look at one of my very first hires was Doug Seegers over community affairs. Doug was from Monroe, and when we talked, Doug was like, I want to leave a legacy here in Monroe that people can remember. And so he's over parks and recs and the Civic Center and all of our golf courses and zoos and things like that. And he's somebody that he worked for West Monroe, and you can just the body of work he did for Caroli Park, and with some beautification efforts over in West Monroe spoke for themselves. And when our next hire was the zoo director, which is Tom Pearson, somebody who's dedicated his life to serving, volunteering there at the zoo. A lot of people don't understand that about Tom, as he's been working for years out at the zoo volunteering. This was an opportunity for him. What a great guy to lead the charge. I was visiting the zoo, and I saw Tom giving a tour to people, just showing them around. And just the look on Tom's face it was like a kid opening a present at Christmas time. Could tell that this guy loved the zoo. He was happy about where he was at, and he was proud to be able to be in that position. That's what you want.
Yeah.
You want people that are passionate about what they're doing to lead, and that's what I'm charged with, is to find people that are effective, but also have a passion and a love for this city, to do what they need to do. And we're assembling a really good team, and I'm proud of our team that we've put together so far.
Always a great time to talk with Monroe Mayor Friday Ellis. This is, of course, his first time being on the Toddcast. Actually, he was on for a second time, like a couple of months ago from now. And it's always a good time to talk with him. Great mayor, great guy. And I think I don't live in the city of Monroe. He's not actually my mayor, but he's like the mayor of the closest city that we live near. And I think he's doing a pretty good job, just saying that, And, of course, you can listen to his and the second time he was on, and go listen to all of these episodes that have these best of clips that you all just listened to. Go listen to those episodes if you've never listened to the full conversation, the full episode before. They're really good. You might learn a thing or two, and if you ever want to be in a position that some of these people are in, whether you want to work in college education, or you want to be a mayor, or if you want to be Miss Louisiana or National American Miss Louisiana or anything like that, or if you want to run a student organization like Tyler Gurfers or anything like that, go out there and go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, go to any podcast provider and listen to these episodes, and you might learn something that might come in handy, And I just want to thank all of those people, and thank all of the guests that have ever been on an episode of the Toddcast. It's been a blast talking to all of these people, and over half of them I've never met before. So, of course, this is, like I said at the beginning, this is the last best of 2020 guests that will be airing. There will be more best ofs coming in the future throughout 2022. And I just want to thank all of those guests once again, and hopefully all of you will go give every episode before this is of course available, but you can go check out those older guest episodes because there's still some gems among all of those episodes in 2020, even though with the COVID pandemic and can't travel or go anywhere and we didn't really know what to do. There of course were some gem podcast interviews hidden amongst the rubble of what COVID caused throughout the year 2020. So with all of that said, I'd like to just go ahead and say thank all of you for listening. And as always, please rate and subscribe. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. And click that bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. And make sure you follow the Toddcast only on Instagram at _Toddcast_ for any updates and pictures to see. And make sure you tell your friends and your family to give it a listen. And thank you for listening to this episode. And if you want to know what's going to happen next week, well, you're just going to tune in to find out. Only on the Toddcast.